Conclude this. I don't know if this is going to append to the existing video, but if it's additional on the next feed, that's fine. Paxton had said that that they have a bank hearing in May, and that's a victory. Now the thing is this: because you have multiple lawsuits, technically on the same subject, especially with one at the Supreme Court level, the outcome of that lawsuit could make the other lawsuits moot. In other words, invalid, because of the fact that it would supersede the outcomes or the verdicts of the other lawsuits. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out, because the main suit where the supplementals were filed were at the Supreme Court, and I want to say that that the purpose for the U.S. in doing that was because that suit would be the one to supersede all the other lawsuits in either at the appeals level or in the district court. I don't know what the U.S. is going to do with respect to the action that they're going to take after the response of Paxton's letter today. I think the logical next step is that the U.S. is going to file yet another lawsuit. But I don't see the benefit in that. I mean, they've already filed the supplementals at the Supreme Court. I suppose they could go to a district court and get a court order forcing Texas DPS and Texas National Guard to relinquish the park. They may send the FBI to escort or to remove the Texas National Guard, the DPS, whoever's there. President or his administration may even take it a step up and nationalize the National Guard. Now, so that he can give them the order that they have to clear out now, or they give them the order that they are to work with the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. Now, a lot's been said that if that were the case, then President Biden and Mayorkas and the administration would be admitting that there is a border crisis, and they would be forced into doing doing their jobs or whatever. That is kind of a 50-50 on that, I think, because, if you were to nationalize them and say, okay, Border Patrol, you're working in conjunction with, National Guard, you're working in conjunction with the Border Patrol, that would put the National Guard in operating on the border, but in a federal sense. Now, they're saying that the president can't do that unless he needs them to come to the defense of the country in an attack, or an invasion. We don't know how that's going to play out. It's going to be a matter of waiting to see exactly what the Homeland Security is going to do, what the Justice Department is going to do with respect to the situation in Eagle Pass. It's going to be interesting to see, because regardless, this is all going to be unprecedented at this point, because it's never occurred before. It's a matter of waiting to see exactly what's going on. That's the bottom line. Just to play the waiting game and wait and see. In the meantime, I was laughing this morning because I was watching the live feed of the oversight committee hearing, and they were talking about the border, and I was like really frenetic. I was like, okay, if you're gonna talk about a border crisis, deal with what's going on with the border right now with Texas, um, and haul them in and find out what what the hell's going on. Or even better, if you're going to talk about the border, you might as well deal with the fact that this is something that has driven me, Patty, it's driven me crazy. And that is that, as you know, Governor Abbott has been busing these immigrants, to Democratic cities such as Chicago, Denver, New York. And now these mayors in these cities are having issues because the cold weather has set in, the winter weather has set in, and these buses have been arriving at unknown hours of the night and day. And basically, these mayors are saying, okay, we want to do this, but we want a certain degree of order. I mean, they're not saying stop sending the migrants. We'll deal with them. The fact of the matter is that they want some semblance of order and organization to be able to deal with them. And Abbott has not been willing to do that. Why? I don't know. So now they're complaining that they're overwhelmed, which is obvious. They've gone as far as setting curfews that buses can only arrive between a certain time and a certain time during the day. And Abbott has been circumventing that. I mean, some have arrived in other places, such as New Jersey, such as outskirts of smaller little suburbs or cities outside of New York or outside of Denver. And he's just not letting up. And the frustration that I've seen with respect to that is they're all saying President Biden is to blame. They're not considering, they're not thinking, okay, who is causing this problem in these cities is Governor Abbott. And they're reluctant to take action against Governor Abbott. Now, I give kudos to the mayor in New York because he has filed a lawsuit against the bus companies that are transporting these immigrants from Texas to New York. That's not something that I would have thought of doing, but I think I kind of see what the objective here is, and that is that if they can stop, or if they can change the mindset of these buses and saying, okay, we don't want to assume liability on something that the governor of Texas is responsible for. If they could deter these bus companies from transporting these migrants, it may alleviate the problem. I don't know. Suffice it to say, they sued him for a huge amount of money, and I'm wondering, or want to see if these, number one, if these bus companies are going to continue what they're doing, knowing full well they're already the center of a major lawsuit in New York, something that would probably bankrupt these companies. A lot of these buses, they're not even major companies. They're mom and pop, I want to say, businesses. I mean, I've heard of some of them. I know some of them because I have friends that have traveled on them. These are bus companies that are individually owned. Some of them not even based in Houston, not even based in Texas, based internationally. And suffice it to say, I mean, a lawsuit like this would destroy them completely. Now, what are they going to do? I mean, they retain attorneys and they'll say, okay, well, as of such and such date, we have ceased operating for the state of Texas. We're no longer transporting migrants. They're probably going to hope that Mayor Eric Adams is going to say, okay, well, if you're not doing it anymore, then we will drop the lawsuit against you in particular. You know, maybe, you know, if his objective is to deter them from transporting migrants, and that's what it takes, he's probably going to do that. Knowing Mayor Adams, he may drop the lawsuits against them over time if he sees that they're no longer transporting migrants to New York. Okay? Now, the question is, the other cities, will they take up the same game plan? Now, if they did, then you would have different cities suing these bus companies, and that would create a much more major problem, because they would have to basically cease and desist what they're doing with the state to protect their best interests. It's going to be an interesting scenario to see how that plays out. But I think the aggravation here that I felt was that, you know, okay, y'all are pushing to blame the President of the United States. You should be blaming the governor, because he's the one that's facilitating the transport of these migrants from Texas to the cities. If anybody needs to be stopped, it is Governor Abbott. Because if you stop the transport, then you're gonna stop the influx of immigrants coming into these cities. And I think that should have been the objective for these mayors from the beginning. And that should have been the frustration of all these people that have commented with respect to the immigration issue, that it's Biden this, Biden that, it's Mayorkas this, it's Mayorkas that. I mean, you're trying to pin a specific problem on individuals who technically do not have